What would you do if a boy in taped-up boots sitting on a cardboard box outside a hospital looked up and said to you, "Sir, I can make your daughter walk again"? You'd probably walk away, maybe laugh, maybe call security. But Jonathan Reeves didn't laugh. He froze. And that moment, that ridiculous, impossible, heart-wrenching moment would end up changing his life and his daughter's forever. It was a bitter winter morning in Birmingham, Alabama. The air was dry and sharp, the kind that makes your fingers ache and your chest tighten when you breathe too deep. People hurried in and out of the Children's Medical Center on 7th Avenue, wrapped in layers, gripping coffee cups and fear in equal measure. But not everyone was moving. One person sat completely still. He was 9 years old. His name was Ezekiel Carter, but everyone just called him Zeke. He wore a second-hand coat too big for him, sleeves rolled up past his wrists, one boot wrapped in duct tape. A red-knit beanie was pulled low over his ears. He wasn't begging, wasn't crying, wasn't even asking. He was drawing, sketching people as they passed, watching their faces. Always watching. Some hospital workers thought maybe he had a parent inside, a sibling. Maybe he was waiting for someone. But after a while, they just accepted him, the quiet boy who came every Saturday and never asked for anything. Until one day, he did. Across the street, a sleek black Range Rover sat parked illegally beside a fire hydrant. Inside sat Jonathan Reeves' mid-40s, graying temples, expensive watch. The kind of man whose suit still looked tailored even when wrinkled. The kind of man whose face looked like it had once held charm, and now just held fatigue. In the back seat was his daughter Issa, 6 years old, wide brown eyes, tangled curls tucked behind one ear. A blanket covered her small legs, legs that didn't move anymore. The accident had happened 5 months ago. One moment she was climbing trees and racing her cousins. The next she was paralyzed from the waist down. Since then, everything had changed, especially Jonathan. The sparkle in his eyes dimmed. The sharp edges of his personality dulled. He was still rich, still powerful. But inside, something had broken. He got out of the car, opened the back door, and lifted Issa into his arms. She was too light, too quiet. She didn't look at the building. She looked at the sky. He carried her toward the entrance. And that's when Zeke stood up. "Sir," the boy said, his voice clear and calm, "I can make your daughter walk again." Jonathan stopped in his tracks. He turned confused, almost insulted. "What did you just say?" Zeke didn't flinch. "I said, I can help her walk again." Jonathan narrowed his eyes, looked the boy up and down. Torn boots, cracked glasses, fingers smudged with pencil lead. "That's not funny. I wasn't joking. There was no bravado, no sales pitch, just the voice of a child who sounded older than his years." Jonathan scoffed and walked inside, but the boy's words wouldn't leave his head. During Issa's appointments, the doctors gave him the usual cautious optimism, clinical language, long timelines. But all Jonathan could hear was that boy's voice repeating like a song stuck on loop. "I can make your daughter walk again." Later that afternoon, Jonathan and Issa stepped back outside. The wind had picked up, slicing through his coat. And there he was again. Same box, same coat, same eyes watching. Jonathan hesitated. He walked over. "You again," he muttered. "Why would you say something like that?" Zeke didn't answer immediately. He stood brushing off his coat. "You don't even know her," Jonathan snapped. "I don't have to," Zeke replied. "I know what I can do." Jonathan looked like he might yell, then stopped. "What could a kid like you possibly know about helping someone like my daughter Zeke?" Looked down. "My mama was a physical therapist. She helped people walk. I watched her, learned from her." Jonathan raised an eyebrow. "And now what? You think you're a doctor?" Zeke shrugged. "She taught me that the body remembers, even when it forgets." Jonathan stared at him for a long moment. "I'm not giving you money. I didn't ask for money." Jonathan shook his head, but something inside him shifted. You want to waste my time? Fine. Tomorrow. Harrington Park, noon. Don't be late. I'll be there. The next day, Zeke was already at the park when they arrived. Same coat. But this time he had a towel laid out on the grass, a small bag at his feet. He smiled at Issa. "Hi, Issa." She smiled back shyly. "Hi." Jonathan watched, skeptical but curious. Zeke pulled out his tools, a warm rice pack wrapped in cloth, a tennis ball, a jar of cocoa butter. He explained everything calmly. The rice was to loosen tight muscles. The ball was for pressure points. The cocoa butter eased the tension. Jonathan crossed his arms. "Where did you learn all this?" "My mom used to take me to clinics, shelters. She helped people who couldn't afford therapy. And she taught you." "She said healing doesn't always need machines, just care and time." Zeke knelt beside Issa's wheelchair. "May I?" She nodded. He gently unwrapped her legs from the blanket, laid the warm cloth on her thighs. She flinched. "Too hot." "No. It's okay." He waited, watching her carefully. Then, with infinite gentleness, he began to move her legs. Small motions. Side to side. Up and down. No forcing. No pressure. He asked her about her favorite shows. Her favorite food. She answered quietly, then asked about his mom. "She got sick. Then she died." "I'm sorry." "Me too." Jonathan's posture softened slightly, but he still didn't trust this. Not completely. After half an hour, Zeke tapped her ankle. "Can you feel that?" "A little," she whispered. Zeke smiled. "That's good." They kept meeting, week after week, in sun, in drizzle. Issa looked forward to Sundays more than anything, and she was getting stronger. One day she wiggled her toes. The next, she flexed her heels. Jonathan saw it all with his own eyes. One Sunday, Issa arrived upset. She had tried to move that morning and nothing happened. "I'm tired of hoping," she said. "It hurts too much when it doesn't work." Zeke knelt beside her. "You think I never feel that way? When I had to watch my mom fade, when we had to sleep in the car, I get tired too." She looked at him, eyes wet. "But if you stop now," Zeke said softly, "the part of you that wants to walk might stop too." Issa was silent. Then she nodded. "Okay, let's try again." That day, her foot moved. Not a twitch, a glide. Jonathan dropped to his knees. "You did that." She nodded. "You really did that." Zeke sat back, smiling, but saying nothing. Word began to spread. A nurse recognized Issa in the park. A therapist passed by. A family showed up the next week with a boy in a walker. Then another family. And another. Zeke helped them all. He showed parents how to warm the rice, how to stretch gently, how to listen. "You're not broken," he said to one girl. "You're just learning a different way to be strong." Jonathan offered Zeke a room, food, clean clothes. Zeke moved in. He got his own bed, a desk, a soft pillow, but he never missed a Sunday. Then came the 9th Sunday. Zeke laid out the towel. Issa sat in her wheelchair. Calm. Focused. "You ready?" She nodded. Jonathan lifted her under the arms. Zeke steadied her knees. 1, 2, 3. She stood, wobbly, trembling, but she stood. Then 1 step, 2, 3. She fell into her father's arms, laughing. Jonathan sobbed. "You did it. You said I would." Zeke shook his head. "I said we'd try. If this story stirred something in you, don't let it stay silent. Like this video. Leave a comment. Subscribe for more real stories of hope, healing, and the unseen heroes among us. And remember, you don't need a title, a diploma, or perfect shoes to change someone's life. Sometimes all it takes is showing up. Again, and again, and again,